this is the AREDN node at the PD. That
Yep.
is the one that's connected to the rocket, the antenna.
Yep.
Okay. There is a second connection, which is this, which is a router that we bought. That's this one. I'm sorry if I jump too fast, let me know. So this is a router that's there. This router is supposed to function to enable, to allow us to connect local sources to the HAMWAN and to route between HAMWAN and the AREDN is what I understand. That's what I think we're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Okay. Now, clearly on the AREDN side of this right now, we don't have anything that's coming from the HAMWAN into this whatever this is. This is what we've got. So this shows me and my GL750 router and my antenna, which is the KG7 GCRF AREDN mesh. That's the RF device that's connecting me. The GL750 is a router that allows me to connect other devices to that network. WS7FPD is the antenna rocket. So that's what I can tell you right now. And W7FPD2 is a router.
Okay.
Does that help?
Well, so you have two AREDN routers at the PD.
Apparently, because
Okay.
I mean, the reason is we put this router in because Randy had said we need a router. You know, it'd be nice to have a router here. And what I understood when we set things up at my place, when I had the HAMWAN dish, that the GL750 functioned as a router to allow me to connect things to the AREDN network. And then, but there was a separate connection up to the radio that was doing the RF, which was the rocket. That's
Okay.
now been moved over to PD.
Okay.
Okay, I hope I'm describing this well enough.
So
you get a clue
what are you using for your HAMWAN router?
We took the HAMWAN dish that was on my roof and we put it over at the PD. But
Okay.
that has been, that got reset, and it's up and running supposedly on the HAMWAN network at this
I do
point.
not see it right now on the
Okay.
HAMWAN network. I see Bud.
It is not on the air.
Okay, Randy's
Ah,
here, so okay.
That would explain it then.
Okay, Randy, you want to kick in since I'm probably just confusing things?
Okay, we have a Rocket M2 on the roof, and it's powered up, and Galen can see it, and I can see it from down below, and on another unit. The Microtech HAP AC light is down below. It is the router that will connect the HAMWAN to the AREDN. It also internally has an AREDN unit in it, but there's no outside antenna on that. It's just in the box, okay, in the room basically.
Yep.
There's an option to turn on a 5 gig Wi-Fi in there, in that box as well, for connection from like cell phones or whatever on the 5 gig, but that's not turned on right now. The HAMWAN, when we put it up, we got a signal, but it was kind of in and out, it seemed to me. Then, so I was talking with Andy, and he's trying to get, we're trying to coordinate the time when we can get together and get up there. I don't know whether it's the tree in front of us or whether it's simply that the dish needs to be angled up a little bit to get a solid. So he's definitely confirmed that, number one, I took the dish over to him out on up in Linden here a week or two ago, and we set it up and got hooked up to Lookout, and then he did an upgrade of the software. And what happened in there, and so then we couldn't get the internet after that, and we weren't sure what was going on. It was pretty cold out there and windy, and so we decided we'd put it up, and then he or somebody could get into it and fix the problem, which he had decided was, when it did the upgrade, there was something in there, and he didn't say specifically what, but there was something in there that needed to be reset or entered in so that it would connect to the internet. So anyway, that's where we are. Basically what we have is an intermittent or no connection to Lookout, and that's what we're working on.
Okay.
And we've got to discover how and why. And it's a little complicated in that I can get into the comm room, and Galen can, etc. We can get in there and do whatever from down below if we can get into the dish, but the connection, of course, the fine tuning of the dish, you have to get on the roof in order to move it. And there's only one person that has a card that will get us into the utility room, which is where the access to the roof is. So there's got to be at least 3 people involved in this, and one of them is Brendan's got to be there in order to get us access to the roof, and somebody up and down or whatever, to depending on the weather, to tune it in. And I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, well, either the path is iffy from where it is, or it just needs to be elevated a little bit, because it's basically straight out to the horizon, and it may be that it needs to be tweaked up a little bit. I had on the dish, there was there's something called USR that wasn't lit up, but the other 2 were, and it was real touchy getting the top one, to the 4th one up, to light up on that dish. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So until we get a solid connection to Lookout, we're basically in the soup. Now,
okay.
I don't know whether Galen was talking about, maybe he was trying to find out about his system, because when they took those 2 off of the roof, and he donated them to Ferndale ACS, and I'd given him a TP-Link AREDN unit that was programmed up with AREDN, newest version, and and we stuck it up temporary, and I don't know whether he's moved it or not, but it's the only thing that's connecting to our FPD AREDN unit at this time. I don't have anything here to stick up outside at this time. I'm not sure I'd be able to get it because of the terrain. There is some blockage in it. 2.4 gig. I'm not sure that it'll even make it. So that's kind of where we are.
Okay. What's your end goal? As I understand it, you have computers in the PD that are not on the City of Ferndale's network, and they won't be on the City of Ferndale's network. So do you want these PCs to have access to the internet through HAMWORD?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have a PC in the comm room that'll be connected to plugged into the router that will get us access through HAMWAN.
Okay.
And also we'd like to have AREDN be able to, route through Winlink as well, or not Winlink, HAMWAN.
Right, and if you can get, say, HAMWAN going, then you'd be able to remotely run your FSQ station or whatever your Nexus board. You'll have remote access to it.
Correct.
The radio, is that one of the radios that you can remotely control? Is it a Kenwood?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's an ICOM 2820.
2800.
Okay.
2820.
But still,
Okay.
it's nice to have remote access to the station so that you don't have to go down the road to do something. So, and you'll be able to have that with once you get HAMWAN going. I mean,
Yeah.
we could come in.
Yeah, but that's where we are right now. We're in the throes of establishing a connection to Lookout on HAMWAN. And once we've done that, then the other ducks can start following.
Right, then you could create a tunnel. You can create a tunnel through HAMWAN to the station, or right now, I mean, tomorrow, easy. I could create a tunnel to Galen, which would get you to the station, but ideally, HAMWAN will be what you want to get in the end.
Well, that's the point. The ultimate idea is to give that location, the PD, a backup alternative. So if the internet were to go down, we would like, and we were able to maintain the amateur band internet, the HAMWAN, we'd be able to use that as a way of communicating out of the PD. To the
Well, in my mind,
world.
it's not, the PD is never wants the networks to touch each other, and I understand that. But the whole point is that we, as an interface in the comm room, we could have through HAMWAN and maybe even AREDN, who knows, but through HAMWAN, we'd have a direct connection to just about anywhere. We could get a hold of, direct connect to SAR or anybody that's, connected to HAMWAN. So, I mean, Bud and everybody else, down south.
You'll probably put a backbone in there as well.
What's that now?
What are the AREDN telephone? That'll be in there too, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I think we'll eventually get to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the Nexus and whatever PC or PCs you have as part of the ham radio configuration there in the police station, you want all of that stuff on AREDN?
I do, because I want to be able to back up. I want to be able to refresh and do all the updates without ever touching the city's network. And right now, in order for us to do that, we drop into we use their Wi-Fi that they have, public Wi-Fi.
Okay.
To go ahead and tap in to be able to do updates.
Right. Okay.
Stuff. So, but if we could do all those updates without ever touching the city's networks, that'd be nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That just gives us a little more separation and a more robust situation. Hopefully, ultimately, that's sort of what we're looking at.
All right. So it isn't strictly necessary that you have all of the computing devices in the ham shack there at the police station on AREDN. You could put some of them are only on HAMWAN, for example,
right,
and access them that way, which depending on your how much security you want in there might be a little bit more secure, because HAMWAN is wide open. Or I'm sorry, AREDN is wide open.
Right. And
okay.
We're not looking at it from our end. We don't have to be as secure as the city does.
Right. Okay.
We're not going to be handling PD files and, all the official stuff.
Right.
We are an adjunct agency, and the only thing that we'll be generating is our own stuff.
Okay. All right.
So we're not dipping into the legal side of the organization, other than our responsibilities.
Okay.
So we're
That makes
basically
sense.
doing two things. We want HAMWOD for obvious reasons. And the AREDN is an effort to try and build up some of the areas AREDN eventually. I mean, you don't get an AREDN network until there's enough people that can see each other. And so it's just another little piece of the puzzle. If it's up, then, you know, if you're in town, you can connect to it. It's like, say, if you had a phone in your truck or whatever, like Andy does, you could hook to it and utilize that. It would be a resource for you. So,
Okay.
and you know, as the next person down the Rhine Road get something put up that will connect to it, then it just expands the footprint of AREDN. So,
And,
Right.
and
Okay.
I'm hoping that, you know, Ferndale could put together and put a map server up for the county. You know, I mean, as a resource for the county on the AREDN network, that would then, you know, be another way to make sure that we had that kind of a resource available.
Mhm.
Sounds like St. Joseph Hospital, we still need to get all our stuff up also, so don't forget us.
have you started on that? Do you have any equipment on the?
Well, we've got the equipment. It's in storage. Either Andy or Kevin's got it. I can't remember who's got it. And we've got the hospital to put the wiring in and stuff. We just need to get up on the roof to put the antennas up and get it all hooked up.
Yeah, you're in a similar situation. We had to get the building maintenance, the city building maintenance people to go up and mount the antennas and run the cable down and the two cables down and stuff. So, yeah, but
So Blaine is in the same situation. We've got everything we need to redo the installation on top of the Harvey Road water tank. And we've got the HAMWOD dish, we've got the coax, we've got everything. What we need is somebody a lot younger than us that is willing to climb to the top of that tank. There's, you know, spiral staircase that goes all the way up, and you get a ladder to get to the bottom step, and then up you go. And we really need somebody that's a lot younger than we are to help us make that happen.
See,
Well, right now, we're just
Rob
kind
young.
of waiting for the weather.
yeah, that's another factor.
Art and Rob are both young guys. I mean, yeah, come on, we can, you know.
Well, we also have to be a little more mobile than some of us are. So
Yeah.
People that can scamper.
So are we talking to Andy?
Well, we'll entertain any volunteers. It would be nice if they know what they're doing when they get up there, that they could point the dish and home it in for us.
Okay, so Steve, are you familiar with that Microtech hat AC light at all?
Yes, we use one at the SAR building for WECG.
Okay, yeah. So right now I've got in port 1, which is the WAN port, I've got HAMWOD plugged into there, and I've got the AREDN plugged into port 5, which is the DTD link.
Mhm.
So that should, with VLAN, connect the two together properly. And then the other 3 ports are open for computers or phone or whatever else we want to put in there. And
Yes.
of course, we could expand with another, an external router in that situation too, if we needed to.
Or a switch.
The switch.
Yep, whatever. Yeah, you probably don't need the complexity of yet another router in the mix, but sure,
just-
you can put a switch in there.
A simple switch, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's pretty much what we're doing at WECG as well.
All
So,
right, very good.
We've got three AREDN routers at WECG because we're connecting 2 buildings within the SAR property there together via AREDN. And then we have the HAP that connects to the HAMWORD router as well. Well, yeah, there's another router in the mix there too, because we're also connected to Comcast at that facility. So I'm doing some policy routing to, route certain packets one way and other packets another way. But anyway, so you're doing a similar thing at Ferndale, probably not quite as complicated, but it sounds like you're on the right.
Galen, this is the mast setup that Andy had me order for my dish, and
I have that.
Yeah. Will that work for you guys? That's what does my
I
dish.
gave them that. They
Okay.
gave it back to me. Randy and they gave it back because there was a different mast we had to go to.
Well, I started the recording a little early because our discussion got our pre-meeting discussion started to get a little technical as we started dealing with AREDN and HAMWORD stuff. So we got we could say the meeting is well underway though. I'm looking for any items that anybody out there would like to drop onto our agenda. If anybody brought anything to share, show us, or questions they want to bring up before we're done, let me know and I'll get you on the list. This was a big one. This is a good one. And we got
I do have a question for any Alinco DR 135 or 235 owners.
Why don't you go ahead with that, Steve?
Okay. So I have two Alinco DR 135 2-meter transceivers, and they're both behaving in the same peculiar way. And that is, I cannot hear anything on the radio speaker when the squelch is open. So there's no tone squelch set. There's no DCS or anything like that set on the radio, and it's tuned to a simplex channel. Yep, already been through that 3 different times. And
Okay, then that's not going to help.
no.
And
we've got 2 radios that are behaving in exactly the same way. So in other words, when I set the squelch to fully open, I hear nothing out of the speaker of the radio. And that's in both of these radios. However, if I transmit to it from another radio via voice or FSQ or what have you, that audio is heard on these Alinco speakers. So that it manages to, I guess, break squelch, even though squelch is already open. And the audio works fine, and FLDigi is able to decode fine. It's just that when there's no signal, I cannot get any audio out of this radio. And so when it's hooked up, I'm using the 9600 tap for FLDigi, and when it's hooked up to FLDigi, you would normally see a waterfall all the time, even in the absence of any signal. It's nothing. But when there is an FSQ signal, for example, it appears on the waterfall.
Does the snow appear with it, or is it just the signals on the waterfall?
Just the signal. Just the signal. And it decodes fine. No problem at all. And I have 2 radios, behave exactly the same way on both. And like I say, it transmits fine, it receives fine, unaudibly over the speaker. It's just that I can't hear anything when I open squelch. You should normally hear hiss, right? Radio noise, nothing.
It would be interesting to set up and maybe I could help you with this, where there was a particularly weak signal coming from afar, like from my place to your place, whether you could hear me. It's almost like the squelch is still working, but you're not able to open it all the way. Like,
That's possibly the other. That is possible. The other clue is that there's a busy indicator at the lower right corner. And normally when Squelch is open or there's a signal, that busy signal, or that busy light comes on. That indicator, that busy indicator is on all the time, regardless of where the Squelch setting is, or regardless of the presence or absence of a signal.
have you tried unplugging your, is it a DV9 or something on the back? It's not a DIN plug, is it?
It's DB9, yes.
And have you tried removing that and same,
Yes.
same doesn't change?
No, same behavior.
Hmm.
Yeah. On voice and for data. So I just
I don't know
scratching
if
my
this
head.
is related, but I just rebuilt my Go kit. And one of the things was that I was seeing was that I was getting, and it's a Kenwood, but I was getting a busy signal on both channels. And I'm not sure why. When Squelch didn't seem to affect it. So,
Was it transient or is it there all the time?
that was there the whole time. I mean, it was just there. I don't know. I mean, this was just, and again, it's a different radio, so, but I hadn't seen it before. It's just since we rebuilt the, and I haven't looked at it to try to figure out, because it shut down when I tried to transmit. My whole system rebooted. So.
Okay.
Steve, I
also
was just
sounds a little
wondering.
familiar to me, because I've got a pair of those, and one of them's working just fine, and the other one, that sounds kind of like the symptom that I've been seeing also. And one of the things that occurred to me, maybe worth trying real quick, is changing it from 9600 back to 2400 or 1200, whatever it is, as just a test. Isn't that that's a setting in the menu, isn't it?
It is, and I've tried it in both positions. It doesn't make any
And
difference.
still you got busy channel lockout showing. And
right.
And there's no other menus with a Squelch setting in it?
Correct. Yeah, it's a very basic radio. The menu only has 7 or 8 items in it, and no, not that I can find. And I've read through the manual, like I said, 3 times now, and I don't see anything it's a very straightforward manual. It's a very straightforward radio. So I asked Brian Lawler too, because they were procured when he was radio officer there at the ACS. He's scratching his head as well. Doesn't know what would be causing that. Like I said, it works fine. It's just kind of irritating not to see the waterfall on FL Digi. And also a little bit unnerving that we don't know how weak the signal can be, to Bud's point, before we won't be able to decode it. Whereas if you have a waterfall that's on all the time, you can at least sometimes see a faint signal in there, perhaps, or have the confidence at least that you're hearing some kind of RF when the waterfall is running continuously.
But
So,
you know, with FL Digi, Steve, I've literally seen absolutely nothing in my waterfall at all and get solid copy.
yeah, that's true. That is true.
So,
but you have the warm, fuzzy feeling of actually seeing a waterfall, so you know that you're receiving something.
yeah.
Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
do you know of W7BCW Bruce Weber, who operates Sultantronics out of his home in Sultan, and he services Alinco radios?
Oh, okay.
He's a great resource.
Sultantronics. Okay.
Mhm. But look up W7BCW on QRZ, and you'll find a link to Sultantronics.
I will do that. Thank you for the tip.
Also, there's an Alinco associate called Remtronics or something, whatever it's called. If you look up Alinco, we'll be linked to them, and they're out of someplace near Los Angeles, and they have a service shop there, and they import the radios and so forth. So,
Okay. I'll
and
give
I think
that a
there's
try.
also a link on there to, at least there used to be, to another, at least one other service shop that services out of warranty Alinco radios.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I said, we have two radios behaving the
Yeah.
same way, and I've done a factory reset on both, and they're still behaving the same way. So it's very, very strange. But okay, well, thanks for the tips. I'll contact one or more of these folks and see if they can shed some light on what's going on.
Oh, great. Well, just a little bit of an update here in the Blaine ACS. We're in the process of switching out our old RMS gateway, which is located at the Harvey Road repeater site. It's running on an old PC and probably I have never seen it myself, but probably like a Cantronics TNC or something. And we're going to replace it with a Nexus. And I set up the Nexus and ran it out in my garage here for quite some time, and was happy with the progress we were making. I wanted to be sure that I would have remote control access to the gateway via real VNC, and I had no problem doing that, but I knew that I was trying to access a computer that was already on my own network, although it was on HAMWORD network. That was fine. So we moved it to Mix House this week, and we got it running there. It mostly is running okay. It's running good. I'm able to connect to it, and I was really pleased to see that I'm able to get full access via real VNC to the Raspberry Pi. So we have a way of controlling it. We will probably go one more week with it at Mix location, and then we'll move it. And so now I get this out of my screen. Sorry about that. Anyway, what we've been doing is we've been running Sundays the HAMWORD puzzle game, word puzzle on RMS, on Winlink. And it's a great way to really put the gateway through its paces. The way it works is you will send a message to HAMWORD. I'll demonstrate some of it here, and it reports back to you, but it's on a 15-minute cycle. So you submit a word that you want to get evaluated, and you have to wait till either the quarter after the hour, or half way after the hour, or 45 minutes after the hour, or the top of the hour. You have to wait for one of those 15-minute intervals before you will get a reply. And so then you go back into Winlink and you get the results. And I'll share my screen here. And I'm using PAT right now. You can do this with RMS Express, Winlink, but that's a PC program. And the nice thing about PAT, and not that there's a lot of nice things about it, but the nice thing about PAT is that it's a web server. So you're looking at a screen on my Windows 11 computer that's showing a web page that's being served from the Raspberry Pi, which is on my my Nexus stack. And so you can access PAT from any device on your network, and you can send and receive Winlink messages. And so this is, kind of the list. There is PAT doesn't give you an easy way to delete messages. you have to go through a process of one message at a time with multiple clicks confirming that you really want to delete it. So typically what I do is go and find the folder and rename it and start a new folder every now and then. But there is a status window at the bottom, and that becomes an issue when the list of mail in there gets longer, because now you can't see the top and the bottom at the same time. But I sent a message to HAMWORD earlier this evening. It's a new word every week, and it starts on Sundays. It's 4 o'clock Pacific time on Sundays. And so I've already solved the word for this week, and I won't do any spoilers. I won't put a solution out for you for this week, but you have all week to do it. And so I have sent a message to them as if I was starting, and I should get a message back saying I've already completed it. I have to wait until Sunday to play again. That's what I'm assuming right now. I'll turn volume up a little bit here. The Nexus is connected to a Kenwood V71A, but I also have a little Yaesu over here on the same frequency. So you'll be able to hear my transmitter as well as Mick's transmitter, and he's a couple miles away over at Semiamo. So I'll click connect, and if it works, that was me. And that's the gateway coming back to me. And down here it says that we are connected. And what did it decide to do? I'm not seeing this update. Might want to look at another screen, but there it comes. Live demos. We should be done by now. Yeah, they're not talking to each other, of course. That's because we wanted to do a demo. Well, let's let that sit for there a few minutes, and I will bring up another screen here, and I'll show you what. So this basically is the window that we were looking at. But this is a still shot of it, and you connect. And you saw me connect using this. And then this is typically, I send the word audio. I wonder if I could enlarge that for you. Let me see what I could do here. Yeah, I send the word audio. And when I get my response 15 minutes later, it returns my word, and it puts these letters or these numbers underneath it. And what this is telling me is that there's no A, there's no U, there's no D. I've got an I somewhere in the word, but not there. And there's no O. So then I would send the word stern, which is normally what I would do, and bingo, I get all zeros. So I've tried 10 different letters, and even though you get zeros, they're very helpful, because it's telling you those letters are not in the word. And so if we get a 2 as a direction, say down here, we will know we have a letter in the right spot. And it does not let me advance screens if I zoom. There, very convenient. So when I get this, when I'm striking out so bad as this, I think, okay, there might be a Y in it because we've only got one vowel. And so I go with the word glyph, and there's no Y in it. But I've located the L. I got a 2 for the L. And so then I played around with pencil and paper, and I thought, oh, I'll go with the word flick. And lo and behold, I've got the last 4 letters correctly. And all I need to do is get the first letter right. And so I went with click, and I won. And that's and this is all done over the radio in 15-minute intervals. And so this time it took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guesses. 4 is par. If you can get it in 4, that's pretty normal. But it's a great way to really practice using Winlink. There is a web page that you can go to where you can see your progress. And the timing on the clocks over there aren't really solid. So you think, oh, it's exactly 5 o'clock. I should be able to connect and get the next results. And you might find out that no, you go through the whole procedure of connecting, and there isn't a new message for you. You got to wait because his clocks and our clocks are not synchronized. And so what I like to do is go to the web page. There's a website here, and this is at hambooks.org/HAMWORD. I can put that in the chat room for you, and it shows you the weekly progress. And you look for your name, and I'm down, I think, on number 6 or something here. Western Washington, Michael, Judy. It took me 6 guesses this week, so I'm way down here. You look for your name and you look for this number to change, and then then I go on Winlink. If you get ahead of them, you're wasting time. So this particular, I'll throw it in the chat room for you, and you can see who else is going on as well. And if you go through the list, I look for the Western Washington people, and there's about 6 or 8 of us from Western Washington, and 4 of them are people I know. So we got Michael Judy from Mount Vernon. He's in there usually. Mark's in there. I'm in there. Rob's in there. So it's something that's worth trying. You just simply send your email to the word HAMWORD, HAMWORD, and then wait 15 minutes, or wait till the next 15-minute cycle has gone through, and check for your results. So let me make sure this is going to everyone. And here is the link. And sometimes you can, you can do it via Telnet too if you need to, but it's a great way to practice. And what we have found, because we're really putting the RMS gateway through its paces, because that's a lot of connections and reconnections and disconnections over a relatively short period of time, we can lock it up. I have, and I'm looking at mixed screen to see what's happening, and I've watched his computer restart the gateway. So I don't know, Steve, if that's part of what you were working on, where it's clearly the gateway software has shut down and restarted itself. And we have had to play around with the Watchdog. One of the things that I would like to do is put a cron job into the Raspberry Pi that will say at like 2 o'clock in the morning, just shut it down. And because if we shut the Raspberry Pi down, the Watchdog will restart it again, and it'll be a nice fresh load. And so that might be there.
Yeah, I haven't seen this. We're running an RMS gateway at WECG on a Nexus as well, using Bullseye, and I I did have intermittent strange problems because of this kernel bug. So when I went back to an older kernel from March of 2022, which was the last known working, or the last kernel version that did not manifest this bug, we haven't had any problems since, and no problems with it locking up or rebooting. It's been running for several months now without any problems at all. So I sent you a link to my documentation on how to make that.
Right.
patch.
We were talking about that before we started our meeting, and
Yep.
you should remind people that you have posted instructions on how to roll the kernel back
Mhm.
so that you won't have these problems while we're waiting for the Raspberry Pi people to solve it at their end. And so it seems to be only a problem if you're running the gateway software.
Well, yes and no.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it is primarily a problem for those people running gateways, but you might find if you're running a Nexus with Bullseye, using PAT as a client, for example, and you are connecting to a gateway that doesn't have to be running Linux, could be a Windows gateway, that you won't be able to connect to that same gateway twice in a row as a client.
Yeah, I think I've seen that where of course,
Yeah.
it's just another screen sitting here, and I've
Yeah.
had to go over and I do save and restart
Yep.
on the PAT client.
Yes, so if you restart the AX25 stack, it fixes this problem. However, if you apply this rollback to the old kernel, it will also fix this problem on the client. If you choose, you can if you want to. I mean, it's, as a client, it's easy to restart the AX25 stack. You know, it's just clicking a button if you're using the GUI that I rolled out some time ago. But you know, either solution would work fine. But if you're running a gateway, an RMS gateway, definitely you really want to go back to this old kernel.
Yeah, I think we better do
reliable.
that.
Mhm.
There's no rhyme or reason that I can come up with why it works sometimes and why it doesn't work other times, other than I can tell you that I have gone in on a Sunday afternoon and had it work perfectly every single time, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I'm done, no problems.
Mhm.
And then the next week, it's what refuses to connect, says I'm already connected. You know,
Yeah.
One of the things that I feel is an issue with PAT itself is that you can't really disconnect. If it makes a connection to the gateway and the gateway isn't responding, I go up in PAT and tell it to disconnect, and it does not disconnect. And I'm trying to get it to disconnect and trying to get it to disconnect. It will not allow me to connect again because it says I'm already connected. It says it's trying to disconnect, but nothing's happening. It's not even transmitting. And I have to sit there and fight it. And eventually it times out
Mhm.
and goes back to, okay, now I can connect again. But
I haven't even figured out how to get the thing to stop on my own computer. It just keeps running. There's no exit. It just keeps going.
PAT keeps going, or
Yeah, it keeps running. You can't, once you get it started, it keeps running until you go to like the task manager or the system monitor in Linux, and you kill it. You gotta just end it. Otherwise, it don't stop.
the save and exit doesn't stop it.
No, I'm on my laptop.
yeah,
Oh,
he's not
you're on your
using
laptop.
he's
Yeah,
not
It
using
won't-
my GUI.
yeah.
It won't stop.
Right. Well, it's designed to run as a service in the background. So I mean,
Yeah,
um,
that's it.
you
It
could-
just keeps going. Yeah.
are you using, what kind of Linux are you using?
Pop OS.
Oh, okay. So that's Debian based, right?
Yeah, Debian. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can write a system control script. Actually,
yeah.
they include one. The Pat
Yeah,
guys include one.
You
So
can go through a bunch of stuff to do it. Yeah.
yep. So that's one way to an easier way to do it, more graceful way to do it, I guess maybe is the best way to put it.
Yeah, graceful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if there's nothing else, I didn't want to really interrupt the meeting here, but
Well, hang on just 1 second then.
I'll shake. Okay, go ahead.
I just am right now, Steve sent me a link that I'll go ahead and share in the chat room about the rolling the kernel back. And so it's there for anybody that wants it. And now go ahead, Ed.
Well, yeah. Well, David NTN and I were at the Bellingham ACS meeting today, and those guys are in dire straits. It's an starting group, just getting started. Steve, you've been into it, and apparently you've done some help with their computers and stuff. They're looking for some laptops for the fire stations and stuff. And I don't know what this, I kind of like to get to the main group to ask this question if the Mount Baker Club would like to help out some way.
They're looking to
the main
fund,
group is going to be after the next Bellingham meeting.
they're
So-
looking to fund purchase of new laptops for the fire stations.
Well, somehow helping out the Bellingham ACS. They don't even have a treasurer or or an account of any kind to put money in or anything else. So I'm not really sure what we can do, but I'm just kind of putting it out there if the club's up to it.
And which group is this?
The new Bellingham ACS, they just got started a little over a year ago.
Okay, they had computers that were provided by the city. They no longer have access to those, apparently, huh?
Yeah, they're so old. Apparently, they're not working very good.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So yeah, they're having a lot of problems with it.
So
Anyway,
is this going to be for like digital communications or?
yeah, probably. Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah.
So if we could hook them up with a Nexus, all they would need is monitor and keyboard and mouse? Would that work? Or do they, for some reason, need a Windows laptop or something?
That's a good point. That might be a good solution there too.
Well, if they're in an
bring that up.
if they're in an ACS group, or if they are an ACS group that they're trying to start up, don't they have any backing from the city of Bellingham or the police department?
Yes and no.
Fire department?
They used to, but the fire department's changed hands, I guess, and now they're kind of pretty tight on us. And so they're just kind of looking for some help somehow.
There's another thing that can be done is there's an organization called TechSoup, and this is for nonprofits, and they have a lot of good refurbished computers, very, very cheap. But it's under TechSoup, but you have to be a nonprofit in order to get them.
Yeah. Well, they fit into it. Yeah.
I don't believe they're a 5013C.
No, we're not. We'd have to go through WECG or something like that. So, but there is a couple other computer refurbished things right here in town too. So they were going to kind of look into that if they could find some money to start with.
Well,
so right now, they
Ed,
got zero.
if
Yeah, go
somebody can find on their shelf or something a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus that they would be willing to donate, because that's the scarce item right now. I would donate a Nexus kit and sound card and everything so that we could build them one. Then they would need to scrounge around and find monitor and keyboard and a mouse.
Yeah.
Oh, Dave's got several monitors.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'll bring that up with the idea of a Nexus
But
board.
yeah, I'll donate a Nexus.
Yeah, that'd be an idea. That's a pretty good idea.
But I don't have spare pies.
Yeah, I might have a spare pie for them. But what they need is 3 of them, though. They'd like to make everything the same in each fire station so that if anybody switches,
Yeah.
you know, everything's the same. That's one of the problems. Anyway, something to bring up there. So,
Well, that's what we did at the Ferndale ACS. Between the 5 or 6 of us, kind of just put together enough. We only needed 1, so we all, you know, I donated this. Galen donated. Oh, we've got 2. You know, we donated the different parts of what we needed. We used their existing keyboard, mouse, and monitor from the station, but we donated all the parts for the Raspberry Pi, the Nexus, anything else we needed. But it was pretty much done by the 5 of us.
yeah, it sounds like a lot of people like Marty and some other guys are kind of doing the same thing, been chipping in their own stuff.
Yeah, you start poking around, climbing around in the closet, looking for in your junk boxes, and it's amazing sometimes what you might find.
But yeah, I think one of their first things is they need to get a bank account and a treasurer.
Yeah. I did get a new batch of sound cards from China last week, middle of the week last week. So I had another shipment come in, and something's happening out there because I'm getting a lot of orders right now for sound cards, and they have to go on a Raspberry Pi. And Craig down there in California, KM6LYW, has his version of what we do with Nexus that works on a Raspberry Pi Zero. And a lot of people are ordering the sound card, same sound card we use, to go on his project. So my guess is that the Pis are back out there somewhere. Because there's been next to no orders at all, and now all of a sudden like 5 or 6 orders have come in.
Well, last month there were indications that supply chain for the Raspberry Pis had loosened up, so they are supposed to be coming out. That the Raspberry Pi people had allocated 100,000 units or something like that for the single-use market. That was a couple months ago, right? Now?
Yeah, I think those, when they became available, they were just bought out instantly because so many people have been waiting for them. But
Well, they said that their supply chain problems should be easing up going forward. So
yeah, I haven't looked lately, but we should see. Anyway, it was nice to get the order in, and I always get hung up on that lunar New Year holiday when all of China shuts down for 2 weeks. Nothing happens, but we got through that, and yeah.
Well, related to the Bellingham ACS computer issue, the WECG, for those of you who are interested, has procured, or rather, I have procured, and I hope to be reimbursed. I'm told I'm going to be reimbursed 3 Dell laptops for to replace the ones in their Go kit, which are pushing 10 years old, maybe more than 10 years old. And we made the decision in the case of WECG, because there's a large number of members, and precious few of whom are in this group, to stick with the Windows platform because it was a lower barrier to entry than the Nexus. And people were familiar with, there's a fair amount of Winlink activity that goes on, and they're familiar with RMS Express and so on. So we decided to stick with the Windows platform for WECG, and I have a hunch that Bellingham ACS is in the same boat. I don't think you're going to find, other than Ed, probably other members who are part of the digital group. And so you might be looking at some support issues, like this kernel issue with the, for example, I kind of a little concerned that if, we've got 3 of these Raspberry Pis, thank you very much, digital group. Why is it behaving like this? And all of a sudden, one or more of us are on the phone or email or Zoom trying to fix these problems with it. So
Okay, that might be what the main reason. Yeah, they're looking for laptops.
Well, what about those little QB square guys that run Windows 11?
Yeah, they're great. As long as you have keyboard, video, and mouse, maybe those are easier to come by for Bellingham ACS. I don't know, but I have 2 of them now that I'm using. I really love them.
One of them, and I don't remember which one, came in a footprint so that, on the back of our monitors, you'll find 4, I think they're M4 or M6, M4 screw nuts where you can attach the monitor to a stand or something. Mm-hmm. And somebody put out one of those little square hockey puck things, Windows 11, that matches up with those holes, so that you can screw the computer to the back of the monitor. Mm-hmm. And it's only 4 inches square.
Yeah, that might be a real viable alternative for them, because those things you can have a pretty decent computer for $150. That includes the Windows license. So
what's it called?
Well,
I'll send you a link, Ed.
There.
There's dozens and dozens of them out there, but I'll send you the link to the one that I use that I really like. So I'll email that to you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a good way to go. I know people are putting those in their Go kits, and I'm thinking of the same thing, because it would be real easy to run the Windows computer in the Go kit and then remotely VNC to the Nexus, which is also in the Go kit. And I really think that RMS Express is way better for Winlink than PAT is.
Yeah,
no
I agree
question.
there.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
So
Steve, can you put that link on the chat?
Yeah, it's actually, I mentioned it a couple of times in past meetings, so it's probably buried in in past videos. But I'll send it. I'll post it on the. Actually, I think I already have posted it to the digital group.
Steve, is that the one that has the hub with it as well, or is it the faster model?
No, these are Windows computers.
Right. No, but one of those came with a USB hub as part of
that's
the
Linux.
package.
I think that's this guy.
Are you thinking of the Quadra?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the one you're thinking of, or the?
No.
You're looking at the extra?
Are you thinking of the Beelink?
The Innovado is Linux. It's not Windows.
Yeah, that's an ARM computer, like a Raspberry Pi that Bud just held up there. Yeah. No, these are Intel computers. Yeah, Beelink is one of the brands, Rob. That's a popular brand that's not very expensive and has an Intel chip in it, and comes with a Windows license, and it's just a lower barrier to entry for folks who want to participate in MCOM, but aren't interested in, you know, the nitty gritty details of getting stuff to work. You know, they just want to turn the thing on, have Winlink available, have FL Digi and FL Message available, and just have it work.
They want an appliance.
Yeah, exactly. They want an appliance. And the Nexus is an appliance, but only for those of us in the digital group, basically. Yeah.
We haven't tried to scale up.
No. So anyway, the other thing I bought for the WECG are those little DigiRig sound cards that I showed in a past meeting. So we're going to be using those. We're replacing some very old TNCs, hardware TNCs, Cantronics, that are part of these Go kits with those little DigiRig sound cards. I've got that and cables and so on. I just got approval from the board to buy all that stuff, so it should be here early next week. So I'm taking a deep dive into Windows in the past 2 weeks, and probably for the next month and a half, I'll be working exclusively on setting up Windows computers with various ham applications. And we're looking at the ins and outs of scripting in Windows, which is a completely different animal for me. It's unlike Linux in so many ways. So if any of you have done any scripting for ham radio apps in Windows, email me. You know, I'd rather not recreate the wheel if somebody has some good scripts for auto starting this and that in Windows.
Anybody else have something they want to bring up, share, questions? I've got a little slideshow here that I'll throw out. I've got just about everything I needed to make the Watchdog timers that I've been working on available and send them out to people that want to build them. And so I've been working on getting a web page ready to facilitate the instructions for assembly. And I haven't done anything with the web page itself yet, but I did build a board the last 2 days, and I photographed it, and I'll go ahead and jump through this quickly, just to give you an idea of what it's like to build one of these. What I did was, and I do with all my kits, is I arranged them. There's a parts list in an order of assembly, and what I've tried to do is get you to install the parts according to their height, so that you can always turn the printed circuit board upside down, press it down against your bench, and solder it, and you don't have a taller object holding the board away from the bench and causing a resistor or whatever to fall further through. So this is basically the order in which things go. The other thing I did different was I decided to show the next parts that you're going to install. So you're looking at step 1, and down below here you see 2 diodes, and the diodes then are going to go in here, and I'll just zip through this for you. We get those in, and then we start installing the resistors. And well, the first one is this tiny resistor, and I make it smaller on purpose. It's a current limiting resistor for an LED. And so we get all of the resistors installed, and this last resistor here, there's a pair of resistors there side by side. This is R1 and R10, and we're going to have a switch in here that allows you to switch between these 2 resistors in the circuit. And these are the timing resistors that determine how long the proof of life window is going to be, and that's what's going on there. And then this one over here is a timing resistor for how long is the power going to be turned off on the computer or the Raspberry Pi, whatever device it is you want to shut down and restart. Then there's a flyback diode that you generally need whenever you have a relay where you have a coil. The coil goes across these two pins here. And the larger trace that you see in the printed circuit board here is our power connections. So we'll have a barrel connector here, and the tip is going to bring whatever the voltage is that you're running your device on, and it could be 12 volts. We can take anything up to 15, 20 volts, and is anything down to 5 volts. And so that comes in here, and in the normally closed position of the relay, it's just a straight connection from here to there. And it'll be that way even if there's nothing else going on. And then that goes out to the voltage out that's going to run, in our case, the Raspberry Pi, but it could be any device. If the device can generate a heartbeat, the Watchdog can be used to resurrect it if something goes wrong and the heartbeat goes away. So when the coil is activated, the relay switches over, and this is no longer a connection, and it goes here instead. And the only thing it's going to do here is light up an LED to tell us that it's off. And then there's one capacitor, and I've got a socket to hold the chip. You put that in next. And then these three switches right here allow you to test the Watchdog and put it through its paces, so you know that it's going to work. This is a manual switch. You can use it when you push this switch down. You're disconnecting the power to the device you're controlling. It will flip the relay and disconnect the VCC out. For as long as you hold that switch down, when you let go of it, the power goes back. And so it gives you a way to manually. So if you want to reboot everything and you're there at the site, just push this button. You don't have to unplug wires or anything like that. This simulates the trigger. It's a great way to see that it's working. And then this reset is probably not necessary, but it will reset all of the gates and everything in the IC, so everything is synchronized and where it belongs. This is this angled header right here is one of two ways to link back to the Nexus board, to the Raspberry Pi. You can bring the trigger in here. You can bring plus and minus 5 volts, or ground and 5 volts in through here as a way of running it. So you can hook it up with a ribbon cable, or you can use this JST connector right here, which has 3 pins. And both of these will provide voltage back from the Raspberry Pi that will light up an LED. I'll tell you more about that here in a few minutes. There's 2 transistors. This transistor right here is the link between the heartbeat and our chip here. Like I said, this chip will run on anything from 5 to 20 volts. So we're actually taking the input voltage that you're running your Raspberry Pi with, whatever it is, and running it through this chip. So it might be, 13 volts, 12, whatever volts. And we don't want that going back to the GPIO pin on the Raspberry Pi, which is kicking out 3.3 volts. And so we use that 3.3 volts to turn this transistor on, and that then creates the heartbeat that's going to go to the chip. And this transistor, they're identical. This transistor is going to turn the coil on. And one caveat to this is I've tested it, and I can activate this coil with nearly any voltage that we would ever want to hook up to this thing, except for 5 volts. I can make it flip with 6 volts, but if I run 5 volts through this thing, the coil will not activate. But I do have 5 volt versions of the relay. And so if you want to run this on 5 volts, you can let me know, and we'll put a 5 volt relay in there instead of a 12 volt. But the 12 volt relay has no trouble at all operating on 9 volts or 12 volts or 15 volts. No problem at all. And then this switch right here is going in next, and it allows us to switch between the 2 timers. So you can put this in a quick mode or a short mode, which is just a little less than 5 seconds, which gives you an opportunity to see that everything is running right. And then you just want to remember to switch it over to the long mode, where we're running it at, I'm using a 330 ohm resistor right here, which is 30 seconds. And you can change this resistor to determine what time you want the Watchdog to be. Then the LEDs come in, and these 2 LEDs are connected to the relay. So when power is going to your Raspberry Pi, the green LED will be on. And when it switches off and we disconnect the power to your device, the red LED will come on. But the blue LED over here is getting its power from the Raspberry Pi. And so the green and the blue, under all normal circumstances, will be on or off in synchronized with each other. But if you have a green LED on and the blue LED is not on, there's something wrong with one of your connections, and you want to sort that out before you leave the site. So they should normally both be on at the same time, or both be off at the same time. And then there's a capacitor here that's going in. When we power this up, I have a capacitor and a resistor here that are, it's on a very short timer. It's the RC timer, it's not part of, and what it does is it pulls the reset pin on the IC down, so that all of the AND gates and NAND gates and everything that's in that chip are all synchronized where they belong in the proper state for things to come up. And that happens automatically when you power up, and that's what that capacitor is doing. And then we've got these 2 terminals here that go in to this location. So this gives us, we have 2 ways of bringing the power into the board. So you can use a barrel connector there, if that's what you're using, or you can use a screw terminal and put that in, and it's labeled for positive and negative there. And so that, but there's only one way out, and that requires a wire connection there. But what I've done is I cut the end off of wall wart, so we have a barrel plug and about 6 inches of wire, pair of wires, and they screw in here, and then that plugs into the normal plug on the Raspberry Pi to power on the Nexus board to power the whole stack. And I did not notice that I put the board down upside down when I took this picture. So finally we're putting the power jack in there, and then these last 2 electrolytic capacitors are the other half of the RC timing circuits for the 2 timers. This is the proof of life timer here that will use one of these 2 resistors in that capacitor. And then this over here is the duration that we want to hold the power off. And that's our shutdown. And finally, we put not finally, the relay goes in here. And this is a 12 volt relay, but the 5 volt relay has the exact same footprint. And then you got a straighten out the pins on your IC and you plug it in. And that's it. That's it. And it'll be ready to build. And there's a nice discount for people in our group. So we will be making those available within probably this week or so. And you might think of this like if you have a site that you can't just always just run over to, you might consider using this. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a Raspberry Pi. Anything that can generate a heartbeat will work with this. But think of it like airbags in your car. It'd be great if you never need it, but if you do, it's there. So, any questions about that?
Yeah, we'll be putting one up at Lookout, but with the setup up there.
Okay, is that the one you've already got?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right now, there's only 3 of them in existence. I used to have. Well, I just built one, so I guess there's 4 now. But we've got one at Mick's house on our RMS gateway, and then Steve built one, and Mark was a guinea pig, and I got him to build one and proofread my instructions. Thank you, Mark.
I'll probably want to build one for the PD. Maybe 2.
I know 3 of them are going down to Texas, so.
Can you order that on your site, Bud?
I still have to do that web page, but if you want to, so I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure that the list price is going to be $36, and for you guys that are in our group, it'll be 20. And so if you want to send me an email or anything like that, we'll get it going, and that'll, that should cover $20 will cover all the parts and the expenses that I've already incurred. I think there's been 5 versions of the printed circuit board that I've gone through to get to the final one. Developing it and figuring out what we want to do, and realizing things like, we don't want to put a 3.3 volt GPIO pin into a 14 volt circuit. So we added another transistor. Yeah.
Dave, you want to build one with me? We'll build a couple of them for the PD.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna build one if nothing else, just to build it. I don't need it for the house, but yeah, we'll build one for the department.
Yeah.
I'll just build one just to build one.
No, we'll want 2 anyway, because we got 2 systems. So, Bud, you can count on us for a couple.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm counting on one of you Linux guys into figuring out the simplest way. I know I could look it up, but it'll take me 3 hours to figure out how to force the Raspberry Pi to shut itself off once a day in the middle of the night, and then let the Watchdog turn it back on. So we get a fresh start, whether we need it or not.
Well, I'll take one of them, so I'll send you an email, but
yeah, like I said, I could still use a few guinea pigs to tell me what's confusing. If I get a chance, and if Dave is willing, might get him to come over and build it in my shop so I can watch. We did that with the Nexus board, and it was really, really helpful because I've built them so many times. Have somebody that's never seen the directions before try to follow the directions and tell me what doesn't make sense.
And Dave's a good one for that.
Just pick a day and let me know when.
Okay, we'll get her going.
Me too. I'll try to come too.
All right. So,
I'll bring my own soldering iron.
yeah, we can make all that happen, So,
Are we done?
Before everybody leaves here, I was kind of, my project here is I was building a antenna tap for a 50 ohm, 60 milliwatt tap for antennas. And I'm short. I got all the parts except the 51 ohm resistor. And I was just wondering if anybody's got a 5-cent 51 ohm resistor
I can check my
sitting around.
Well, I have a spreadsheet that
I'll check my supplies too.
What wattage do you need, Ed?
I think I do, Ed.
A half a watt will do.
Oh, mine's probably an 8. Well, I'll check. I'm pretty sure I do.
Let me check.
But if it so,
yeah, half a watt.
so let's see the math on that. You can bundle them together and create that, get the wattage you need. If you put,
Yeah, I suppose it could.
I think you take 2 of them
Yeah, I
in
could look into
parallel
that.
and then another 2 in series, and it all mathematically comes out.
Yeah, I can figure that out.
But yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll send you an email, but I'm pretty sure I do because I needed
Oh,
that.
cool.
It's an odd value.
Yeah.
I needed it for a project. That's why.
Well, you can only order it in 100 batches of 100 of them. So
yeah, well, I
it's like-
probably have 100 of them. Yeah. So yeah. Oh well. Any other comments?
I only
on
need
tracking?
one.
I got a little project I'll share if somebody's interested. It's a 12 volt to 24 volt POE adapter that I built up. You would do this in a Go kit, but you wouldn't do it like this. I went to extremes to build a standalone case and everything. Basically it's got, get the, I don't know if you can see it there. There's an Anderson power pole connector here and a fuse, and inside there is a 12 to 24 volt converter here hooked to this POE 4-port POE connector. So you just, and when you put, and I've got fancy and made this cover for it. That's probably upside down. Oh, okay. So it says, there you can see it a little better. 12 volts in over here. It's a POE, 24 volts out over here. Anyway, it's basically inside there is a, I gotta find my camera, I guess. There we go. So I put those little inserts in like we're using, Bud.
Yeah.
And that worked out pretty good. That Anderson power pole just goes right in there. So you get your, anyway. Thought I'd share. A lot of printing. Yeah, you wouldn't want to do this.
What devices are you running PoE at 24 volts?
AREDN and HAMWORD.
Oh, is it the Ubiquity products that you run on 24 volts?
Yes.
PoE?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, you could put you could use a for 48 volt for the phone. You can do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as per Galen's suggestion on this thing, I need to drill some holes in it to get a little ventilation, because if you were leaving it on 24 hours a day, it probably would build up too much heat. So even though it's not drawing very much current. So anyway, that's my little project.
Yeah.
So Ed, I found it was in my spreadsheet there. I have 200 of them, and they are 51 ohms, but they're little guys, so they might be 8 watt. So you have to think about how that might help you. Maybe not.
Saying what was the wattage?
I'm saying I'm not seeing it written, but they're the little tiny guys. So I'm thinking at 1/8 watt.
Oh,
you need 16 of them.
Yeah, well, I got 200.
well, I'm only working.
I don't think that's going to work.
So,
And you can just
Jack.
eliminate the antenna.
What is it
it
gonna
might work because I'm only working with the 6 milliwatts. So
You know, just go
wonder.
down to Radio Shack and pick up a couple.
Yeah.
Well,
Probably get them on Amazon too.
what are you going to push through it? That you need
What's that?
You know,
a half.
Well,
watt.
it's an antenna tap. It goes from, you can go from 600 watts to, it goes down to 6 milliwatts. So I think
Well,
it's only going to have the 6 milliwatts going through it.
Is it are you going to use it as an attenuator
Yeah.
for
checking signals without blowing up my machinery.
Well, can you just put a dummy load on there?
Yeah, well, yeah, it'll be a dummy load on it, and then this would tap into the line going to the dummy load.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you probably better get the right wattage to this.
Yeah, I'll try to find it.
Can't remember what I put them in, but I know it's an odd value and I needed them. So
Yeah, it's kind of an odd one.
There's 3 of them for $6 on Amazon.
Yeah, I hate doing Amazon.
It's an easy way to get them.
Yeah, probably better than buying 100 of them.
I would think so, yeah.
well, how many amateur radio balloons have we shot down?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
wondered
saw a
that.
report about one up in Alaska. That they had it the day that they said they shot something down in Alaska. They didn't ever see it again, so they're pretty sure that's what it was.
Well, it was on the news today. Somebody's going to launch some high altitude tourist things with a balloon. You know, it's like they're going to put tourists up there and then we're going to shoot them down.
Oh, I don't think I'm going up there.
I got to make up for it since they dropped the ball on the first one. So now all weather balloons and all sorts of drones and you name it. They're all open targets. Yeah,
It's fun for the jet pilots.
Republicans flying. Never mind.
Yeah. Lots of fun for the jet pilots.
Yeah, I bet.
You'd think it'd just be easier to shoot the machine gun at it rather than a $2 million missile.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I've run out of stuff. We'll give you one last roll around to see if somebody wants to throw something out there. I'll switch over to the Brady Bunch screen. You can see you. So
Yeah,
Bob,
beer's about empty.
Bob Cummings, did you get your stuff sorted away? I got an email saying that you were rejoining our IO group. You got that all okay? Probably. There he comes.
There I go. Yeah, I think I did.
Okay.
I'm not for sure how I get that message every once in a while.
Yeah, we've had other members say that they weren't getting notices about our meetings. And we're trying to sort that out for folks.
Yeah, I've
Jim,
always seemed to get the messages, but every once in a while I get that notice that I've been dropped too. So
huh. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that some people aren't getting it because they're not actually a member in the digital group. And the notification, at least for this meeting, is only on the digital group's calendar. So it's separate from the main group. I mean, I can combine everything, but that might get confusing for the main group members too. So I don't know.
I guess I should mention that Don Boyer, he kind of wanted me to mention it the main group, but I'll mention it this group too. Ron Ecton's got a whole bunch of stuff for sale. Oh heck, yeah. Kenwood's whole list of stuff. If anybody's interested in any of his stuff, get a hold of Don. But I'll bring it up at the main meeting next month here also. If anybody's interested. Looks like he's selling out the whole thing. It's a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, he's selling a Kenwood TS, what is it? 140S. Mic and speakers for $300. Another Kenwood for another $300. Yaesu YSK 8900. New in box $25. What? Oh, it's just a separation cable. Never mind. So anyway, yeah.
Is there
I
an
could go through the
antenna
whole
tuner?
list, but what's that?
Is there an antenna tuner, automatic antenna tuner listed?
Let's see.
Do you need one, Mick?
Do you need
Watt
one?
meter?
Yeah, I'm thinking of getting one. I'm using a manual one right now, and it's
Try to get a hold of Kevin Snow.
Yeah, he's got an AT 250 auto antenna tuner, good for $125.
okay. Good.
Kevin might have one that we got one of those. Kevin picked it up. I don't know what he gave the lady for it, the silent key that we got the antennas from. He already has two, but he picked up a third. So you might talk to Kevin. He might part with it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. What's Kevin's last name or call sign?
Snow.
Snow.
KI7
No.
KUR.
Yeah.
KI7.
KUR.
But let's look in my garage, Dick. I've got 2 or 3 out there, and one of them might be automatic. And if any one of them will work for you, you can take it.
Perfect. Thank you, bud. I'll make a deal for it. We did for it.
Ed, I looked on eBay for you. There's a 10-pack of 51 ohm half-watt resistors for $2.50 plus 95 cents shipping.
Oh, okay. eBay. I like eBay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just put in 51 ohm half-watt resistors and it then scrolled down and I found it.
Oh, okay. I'll go there.
And he's in Illinois.
Yeah.
They came from China, but he's in Illinois. So
Well, that means
Yeah.
you get it. You
Of
get
course.
it in a few days. That's a good deal. You don't have to wait 20 days for it.
Right. Right.
and I didn't go through all of them, but then they started throwing in other stuff. So
yeah, I didn't even think about eBay.
sometimes.
All right.
You have a whole bunch of Ed, you have a whole bunch of cat cable you need to get rid of?
Yeah. I still have
what-
a whole bunch of that Cat 6.
Cat 6?
Yeah.
Ooh, we might
It's-
need to talk.
It's hangable and variable. And got the ends for it and everything.
Oh wow.
Is it UV resistant?
Yep.
Hmm.
I tried to donate it to the hospital and I even tried to donate it to the C home repeater.
Is it shielded?
Yep, it's shielded.
Okay.
I want to
Well.
hardwire from out here where my router is back there to my radio room.
Yeah.
How
'Cause
much
it's
have you
just
got?
enough stuff in the
Yeah.
way that it kind of messes with my with the laptop that we're talking on.
I'd have to look again, but I got a few hundred feet probably.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever Mark doesn't want, I might be interested too. So I'll be in touch.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Put me on the list too. I've wanting to give some away. I might have some as well.
Oh, okay.
How long do you think you need, Steve?
Looking at putting some cameras up, so a couple 100 feet probably.
All right. I probably could do one of those 100 feet.
Okay.
I'd have enough.
I need 100 plus just because it's got to go around everything.
Well, if you give me a minute, I'll check to see what the footage on the end of the reel is.
If there's any left
or you
over,
can tell me Tuesday.
there's about 60 feet left over somewhere. Let me know.
I'll take care of you, Rob. We'll get you a good one. All right, folks.
We're done.
I'm going to push the magic button.
Ed's coming back with the footage for me.
Oh, okay. I'll hang on.
And everybody else is hanging on too. See if there's any extra for them.
Here he comes.
Got 828 feet left.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
That's 6 for everybody then. All right.
Can I ask
Do
how
we
you
want to
ended
do
up?
pass the box around and, like one guy gets it, cuts off a bunch and measures it out, and then hands it to the next person?
All right.
You drive-bys with scissors.
So Rob, we don't need to get Arden to work between our places. We'll just borrow cable from Ed.
Yeah, and you could go straight across the bay.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
get a
line
line
of
of sight on
sights.
either side.
But I was gonna ask you if you guys got connected with that M2 or not.
Well, I had it going here on my property, from the garage out here. It works great. But we got to get the other half. I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that we might be able to make that work between our places because he's got a few trees in his neighborhood. But if we go 2.4, most of it's just across water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just need to hook this up. It takes 24 volts. So, who is showing the
It'll run on
converter there?
That was me. It'll run on 12 though.
This will?
Yeah.
The CPE 6. Wait, which one is this?
It's
210?
Beelink CE 210 or something like that.
210 version 3, I think. But yeah,
Right.
but
that's power over internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
it says 24 volts on it, but
the higher
It'll run
voltage
on-
because you have a long line. But if it's not, 12 should work.
yeah, I need something a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, well, I tested one. I had one just like it. This one that I gave to Galen. I put 12 volts on an end of 100 feet of Cat 6 and that on the other end, and it worked just fine.
Yeah, right now I'm testing it with this, and this puts out enough to power that. But of course, I'm only talking.
Well,
anyways, it's the AC light, I think.
But so what are you putting in on the input of that? I mean, that particular unit that I saw you show up there, I think you have to put the POE in on port 1.
Yeah, it's port port 5 on this is the out, to this.
Right, but is that
That-
coming from your input power?
Yeah, because if I right now I've got it plugged in with the this plug here.
Yeah,
Rob, I've got
And-
an injector that would work. I wasn't thinking when I bought it. It's my original camera is now inside my shop, and I just automatically bought this injector to power the camera, and then realized, wait a minute, the camera's sitting here hanging right in the shop. I could power the camera with a wall wart. I don't need a PoE to run the camera, but I bought the.
Well, that's what I have here. Unfortunately, the PoE in on this doesn't have enough power to power this or anything on the PoE out. So
Well, I've got
I got to use the wall wart for this, for at least for my testing scenario that I'm doing, that I was doing.
Well, we could talk about. You need to just come over and go through my shop one of these days.
Yeah,
they make a similar, a single port version of this that's, of this thing here. Instead of 4 ports, it's just a single, and it has a regular, the regular type, like on the Nexus type plug to
yeah.
plug into it, or you can hardwire it in there. And that one, I think you just plug it right in, and it's just got an in and an out. And so you're providing your power to it that way. It's pretty easy. And they're pretty.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got a mix of PoE active and passive stuff that apparently that's not mix and match, obviously. Different voltages and currents and whatnot. As far as I know, I don't want to blow anything up, but because I guess the PoE passive and active, completely different stuff, right? I haven't really looked into it too much, but I read somewhere that that if you plug the wrong one into or try to mix them, it'll start smoking things, and that's the last thing I need is more smoke out of my equipment.
I haven't run into that problem. I've got a PoE thing that I run my cameras on. It's a 8 plug switch, and I just plug anything I want into it.
Huh? Passive or active, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Huh. I'll have to look into it a little bit further because I want to buy a switch or not a switch, but I forgot what I think it was TP-Link PoE switch something. But I don't know exactly what to buy because I like I said, I want to combine everything and power everything from like one unit since everything's kind of consolidated out my main system here. So I don't know. I'll have to look into it a bit more.
Yeah, I don't think there should be a problem.
Okay. I read it on the internet. It had to have been true. No.
I haven't seen that. Yeah, haven't seen that. Of course, I'm not an expert either.
Everything was misspelled, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. I found out something today. You know what chirp means? Chinese radio project.
Okay.
Just found out.
That's a good thing to know.
Yeah. It got started from a bunch of Chinese trying to figure out Japanese radios.
You know the definition of expert, don't you? X is a has been, and a spurt is a drip under pressure.
Yeah.
Or somebody more than 50 miles from home with a briefcase.
Gotta go. See everybody
All right, I'm going to try to pull a plug again, you guys.
Okay.
next month.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night,
Good
everyone.
night.